I was going down to the end of the street, basically, to where, Suzanne and Tom Rankin live
Yeah.
down the hill. Because they both
How
have,
far did you get?
I got all the way because the guys were right there. They said, if you'll wait a minute, this truck will get out of the way. You can go down and you've got time to go down and come back. They were just nice. You know, I looked pathetic. They don't have water. Yeah, but the huge tree.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Snap the transformer off the pole.
Oh, man.
Did you get a quote on it?
Well, I had,
So what?
Did you get a quote to remove it yet?
But no, they already did it.
Who did?
The Asplund guys. Well, it's not removed, I should.
I wish mine took out a power line.
It was across the road too, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Well, and they're
it's not
down
my tree.
placing the pole.
Yeah, it was all the way across the
Yes.
whole road.
Huh?
So it was all the way across. the
it had to have been.
Yeah. So
4 feet
they,
in diameter.
I mean, they cut it up roughly to get it off the road, so. But Dad's thrilled. He's got lots of wood now.
Yeah, there you go.
Half of a tree, a willow tree came down in my yard and it fell in exactly the spot that didn't hit anything except the grass.
That's pretty much what
And,
this.
and my direct TV, but I was not gonna give up on them anyway. That just helps shove them out the door, because I'm not gonna get that fixed.
Lost two big ones back by the pool too. Luckily, they went downhill, so
Oh,
it doesn't bother anybody, but
right.
they're massive trees. One of them was snapped, and another one pulled out of the ground.
Down the street, one is, you know,
Well, one hit the
it's pulled all the way
house.
out.
They have-
Laying over.
Like going right down in my
Some work
living
to
room, 3 stories down.
And they said they just had taken care of the older trees that were around, and that was one of the most healthy ones that they thought could be
I
fine.
got some stuff about that.
They
Yeah,
said that when you take trees out away from around other trees that aren't used to getting the full right away wind,
Oh,
their
yeah.
roots aren't as strong, so they'll come down.
the tree behind
I
it.
don't know what they
It's
are, but
down.
there are some trees that are downhill from me. As I'm looking at the old primary school, I can see them.
I don't know if they're gonna come pick it up or not.
They,
Feeling better.
everybody should have these trees for wind, because they're pretty like this, and they never break. They just do that all the
Wow.
time.
They are.
I don't know, but they're the
How big are
most,
the leaves on them?
oh, I don't
We're on the
remember.
property. I don't think it's our tree.
But they're just so limber. They never snap. They just keep going.
Wow. That's not enough.
Right, yeah, I think it's a
Calling the meeting to order at 6 o'clock, please rise if you're able and join us in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We should mention for those on Zoom that there's some power flickering in the area / certain rooms of the town office, so apologies if we lose you at any point. All right, payroll warrants, December 8th, FY 24, and December 15th, FY 24, open for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Accounts payable warrants for December 12th, FY 24, and December 19th, FY 24, open for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Approval of the minutes for December 5th, 2023, open for a motion.
Move to approve the minutes for December 5th.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, any questions, discussion, edits? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Then we don't have any special presentations or awards or committee appointments or resignations. So next up, public hearing, liquor license for the Wren Restaurant Group LLC doing business as Back River Bistro. Open for motion to open the hearing.
I move to open a public hearing for the liquor license for Wren Restaurant Group LLC, DBA Back River Bistro.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? We are open at 6:02 PM. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this liquor license application? Anyone online? Going once? Going twice? Okay, open for a motion to close the hearing.
Open close?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor? We're closed at 6:03 PM. Open for a motion on the liquor license.
Motion to approve the liquor license for Wren Restaurant Group LLC, doing business as Back River Bistro.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. All right, now down to public comment. Is there anyone who would like to speak on something not on the agenda? In person or online? Going once. Going twice. Seeing none, moving on. Department head, community chair, we have monthly reports. Does anybody have any questions, comments on monthly reports? It's nice to see Erin's first one.
Yes.
Okay, financials and HM Payson report. Any questions, comments on either of those?
You want to see if we're back up.
Nice to see you back up a little bit.
Is it back up? That's what I was hoping for. Oh, good.
Okay. All right, moving on to unfinished business, Wampanoag Block update. You wanna?
I didn't get anything from Susan today. I just checked my email just to make sure. I did talk to Dave McDonald last week, who's the general contractor, and expressed my concerns that I hadn't seen any deliveries as of yet. He was actually laying in urgent care at that point, getting IV antibiotics for pneumonia. So I'm surprised he even took the phone call. I did report the issue with the flashing to him. And he said he would try to get somebody out there by last Friday to fix it, which obviously didn't happen. And I see there's a bunch of stuff tore off of it from this last storm. I will reach out to them again to find out what's going on, but
It's just
Monday's storm last week delayed things, and of course Monday's storm this week, I'm sure is going to
yeah.
be another reason for them to delay whatever out there. It's,
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, all you can do is just keep asking and keep saying that we're watching. There's nothing that we can actually physically make happen.
Has the, has the, CEO been inside the building to look at some of the upper parts of the building? Or does he just go in to something of the lower
So
parts?
the previous code officer had been in there, inspected all the work that they've done inside, but there's been no additional work done inside since. That work's done, they just need to get the outside done. So I don't think Bruce Inger, the current CEO, has been.
Well, I'm just curious, because there's some windows that are open, that are not boarded up.
I reported them to Dave last week, because one of them actually, well, it's boarded up now because it looks like it's ready to fall out. And if it falls back, that's fine, but falling forward's not, so it is
Okay.
boarded
Mhm.
across now.
Mhm.
I will call in tomorrow.
Thank you.
Next is consider approving an economic development committee directive. He's grabbing Aaron.
Do you want a motion?
No. He's grabbing Aaron so he can speak to it.
Okay.
All right, so Aaron's kind of hit the ground running. And he and I have kind of talked about maybe forming this economic development committee, and he put together this little directive. I have to say that I think we've gotten mixed reactions on this so far, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but that's okay. So what we thought we would do is just, Aaron can kind of go through this tonight, and we could have a discussion as to whether or not this is the direction the board thinks we should head, or if we should back up and maybe come up with this different plan for something. So I'll let Aaron.
Sure. Well, thank you, Dennis. Well said. And then thank you all for having me here. And thank you for the opportunity for being your new economic development director. I'm a firm believer in public process in any decision-making that I do. And what that means is that you engage the public whenever you're involved in making public policy decisions. And when you do that, you want to involve the stakeholders, and the stakeholders are people of the community. And it's very easy for a bureaucrat like me, or a town official, to get narrowly focused on a topic and make decisions based on what you think, or what the public official thinks, and not what is actually needed for the community. And that's why I'm a believer of having committees. Sometimes I agree they don't work. And, I've been to many community meetings that I have sat through, and I said, why am I here? Okay. But one of the things that I have done in the past is created a directive that goes from top down, from the select board. And it outlines sort of a charge, and it gives the committee sort of responsibilities, basically. Gives them sort of an order of what they have to do. And what I've found that most people on that committee will hold this thing in their little folders and stuff when they come in the meeting. And when they get sidetracked, and if you have a good chairperson of that committee, they will bring back the committee to the charge and what the tasks are at hand. And so if they become, wandering off into a different topic, and they go afoul, then we can bring them back. As a staff person, that would be my responsibility. If there is, significant issues with the committee, that's ultimately up to the select board, to, regulate that issue. With that being said, going back to public process, this is an advisory committee, and an advisory committee is just that. It's an advisory. They will advise and consent me as a staff member, and you as the board of selectmen. So, economic development is not an easy task. It's very complex, and there's a lot of moving parts. And what we're doing here is asking people of a variety of sectors in town, if you see that, the qualification numbers. We're not just looking for anybody, we're looking for certain people to be members of the committee. And we would like them to have a variety of diversity, so that means a diversity of opinions. So we're not just looking, if it's just me making the decisions, it's just one person making the decision. So the idea is to have what I have found more people in the committee and more diversity, better the solution. So with that being said, I agree, this list of goals here is long. Yeah. Now, but if you look at it really closely, and I'm not gonna sit here and read through each one of them unless you want me to, but
Please don't.
But the first, what I would say is that there's a first, what I did try and do was the first like page here on page 2 really is mostly like ministerial. So that, but what I mean by that is just what the committee is going to be doing on a regular basis. You know, and then the bottom of it is, I think early on in the process is my goal is to write an economic development plan. And in that plan, we look at pages 3 and 4, they will address all these other issues. Now, I didn't just pull these issues out of my hat. I looked at the 2008 comprehensive plan, and the 2008 comprehensive plan had a lot of goals. I didn't just pull out all the goals, I just pulled out the ones that said they were associated with the economic development director. And so I pulled those out, and I did that before I even wrote this. And if you look at my office, you can see them, they're all listed up there, so I can keep the eye on the ball. With that being said, I pulled those out and I put those in here. So, I mean, I rearranged them a little bit, but I wanted to have the committee to focus on those goals. Then I also added to that, you know, there's some significant issues that have come up since I've been here in the 30 days, I've been here, 1 month. And, you know, Dennis and I have chatted, like the Old Ferry Road property and the offshore wind farm interconnection site and the Mason Station property. You know, those are some issues that, you know, are things that I think we all would agree are goals that should be addressed by the development committee or by me. Now, this committee isn't a way for me to delegate my responsibilities or a way for me to get out of my work. It is a way for me to engage local residents who know Wiscasset. I don't know Wiscasset, okay? And they will guide me. They will advise me on what they think Wiscasset needs. And that's what I'm hoping through that process in writing the plan. And they will prioritize all these goals here. And then we will work on them together. And we will ultimately study them, you know, singly. And we will then bring them to the Board of Selectmen as we report on them. And then you guys can make decisions.
Couple of questions for you. So would you actually be a member of the committee and chair it?
No, I would be a staff member. So I'd just be
You're gonna be the town's staff member, not the
Yes.
committee staff member. You're gonna be the town staff member that's affiliated to the committee.
yeah,
Okay,
so non-voting, but I'd be the
And these goals, are they in any particular order? You said the committee would work on prioritizing. Did you put them in any particular order when you were putting them here, or did you just put them as you pulled them out of the book?
Actually, if you look at it, sort of, they're actually somewhat alphabetical order.
Librarian, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you can see the broadband
Yeah.
committee, airport committee, you know, so airport committee, broadband committee, comprehensive plan committee. You just work down that list.
So have you thought of writing, third question is, have you thought of writing up a list of assets that members could bring to this committee, their educational background or professional background? What are you looking for in a committee member? Would you write up a list of, if you have experience in these areas,
So-
would you bring it?
In page 1, under
Yeah.
qualification of members, I didn't spend a lot of time spelling out, you know, what I was looking for, but if you look at under qualification of members, you know, ultimately, I'm looking for somebody that really just wants to help out. And that's the biggest thing. But then I'm looking for people that, that have, you know, some building and construction background, some business, marketing, sales, civic engagement and communications backgrounds, finance and bacon, real estate and development, sales, and small business management.
Yeah.
Now, certainly, if somebody is really interested and is, you know, doesn't fit these categories exactly.
The reason I asked that is you said when you were
And then, so the other part was just that, and some of the stuff was, she felt really wasn't a priority. And, but once I mentioned that she explained to her that I thought it was the committee's responsibility to set the priorities, not me,
Right.
and not so I thought, I think she understood. But what I was hoping that the committee would at least consider these goals. And that's what I'm hoping that the select board would consider. Now, you could say to me right now that we don't want to consider this. You know, that's something you could say. You can tell me, you know, one of these goals in particular, you just don't flat out, we don't want the committee to look at. You know, that's something we feel, or maybe it's being looked at by another committee and have that committee, let the other committee deal with it, and that we don't want this new committee to interfere with it. So there's that.
Okay, thank you.
Normally, I don't like committees, even though I'm on a bunch of them, probably why I don't like them. Listening to what he's had to say, he's done a lot of good work on this, and I would go along with this with two changes. One, that the committee be an ad hoc committee,
Yes,
Yes, and we discussed that today, yeah.
okay? And the other one is that the chair be Aaron, for control of the committee, it goes the way he wants, or it goes the way he thinks it should be going.
Yeah.
More control on it rather than another person being a chair and then reporting to him.
Right.
If you're in a corporation, that's the way you'd run it.
yeah, I agree. I think you would have less, I think you would have less problems with a committee if you were actually running the committee.
So the actual chairperson,
Yes,
would I be a voting member?
Of course,
I don't see anything wrong with that.
you're the economic developer. And
Oh, it's advisory only,
it's
so.
it's an advisory committee.
Yeah.
You know,
so
so
it would keep it more on track,
I think it would too,
be more business-like.
yeah.
Otherwise, you're just hoping that, you know, the chairman's going to go in this direction and do a little bit more over there, or not be able to see some of the things that you see you need. Why would you want to leave that up to chance? I
Sure.
agree.
And as the economic developer, as you delve deeper into these subjects, you're gonna be able to see things that happen in town history and so forth that you're gonna apply with your education and your background. You're gonna be able to apply that in a different way than a committee member would, and I think it would be important that you voice that and vote that on the committee.
Okay.
I think,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, one of your best phrases. That being said, I think that what I see in you is a great ability to listen. That seems to be one of your primary traits.
I think it's
And I can't imagine that this wouldn't benefit you, because you really do want to be able to handle some or all of these, and one person can't. But there are people on committees, I'm running a committee, I'm, chairman of it. And it works well when you listen to the people, when you get input from people who know what they're talking about and have some experience. I think you've got it made. I think it's a great idea.
Well, I mean, my only concern with me becoming the chairperson is then I become the driver seat a little bit. I mean, I'm not opposed to that. And I agree that there's certain things that I would have to advise them on, but to go with your listening idea that, once again, then if I'm the chairman, it could be seen as that I'm not listening. Do you see what I'm saying? If I'm, leading the committee.
So if we were going to make you, the chairman, then would we want to probably make this a committee of 7 as opposed to 5? So that we can broaden that, diversity a little bit?
Sure, I
You
mean,
taking one spot, that just is one less.
yeah, I mean, I
I
said,
mean, I think 9 is too many.
yeah,
And 9 is too many.
Why don't you word it?
I don't know.
I actually would disagree with that.
Why get into the pettiness?
Me too.
Why not just make it no less than 5 people? Then if he figures he needs a few more, he can have it.
Normally I would say that's unwieldy, but with the attendance for committee meetings and
That was exactly what I
Worry
was
about
gonna say.
having a majority.
and because it's advisory.
I don't think that we need to focus on that just yet. I mean, I think we might find that, well, I don't know. I don't know how many people will be signing up for this, but we might find that we only might be able to get 5 people. But I don't know.
No, I think you're gonna have plenty.
I think you're gonna be beating him off with this.
No,
thing.
my other thought is, I'm thinking of this in very much the same way I think of the comp plan, in terms of there's actual work for people to, like, probably a lot of work to do. So the more helpers, the better in terms of that, because my one concern with this is I don't want you to end up working for the committee, because that's not your job. And I don't want you to be bogged down by requests from the committee.
Sure.
So the latter, I don't know. I just wanna make sure that we prevent that, because I know you're gonna wanna be helpful, and you will be helpful, but I don't want you to spend 80% of your time putting together like reports and briefs and whatever for the committee.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Or reason for being chairman.
Right, because the secretary of the committee could keep track of those kinds of things. Secretary, clerk, whatever you want to call them.
A strong vice chairman.
I mean, the way I've done this kind of work in the past, I'm gonna just be honest with you, in other communities, you know, as a staff person, I liaison, so, there was a committee there, and then, the committee did most of the work. It was just me there to apprise them on issues. So, for example, they might come across an issue that they needed some sort of legal advice, and then that's what I would need to do. Now, this is a little bit more detailed, but I do think that, I'd be helping them facilitate the process, advising them and helping them work through some issues. And then also they would be advising me, I'd be asking them questions. But I see my work, this is very integral into my own work, I mean, all these goals are things that I think you all are gonna expect me to be working on. I mean, me and Dennis have talked about a lot of these issues, so I don't see it as, work, this work is, even if I was working for the committee on these issues, they would be working for the town. I mean, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why you have the directive, it wouldn't be like, if there was something in here if there was something that they asked me that wasn't on the list here, then I could say to them, no, it's not on the list.
Yeah.
That's not a priority.
Just run it like you're in charge.
Yeah.
So the only way it's gonna work.
I can't remember off the top of my head, in the committee handbook, do we require interviews?
Yes.
Because I think that's important for these, as long as that's included.
I think you and Bill, I think the chairperson and the vice chair,
Oh, okay.
I think that's what it said.
Okay. The other, sort of overarching suggestion I have is that you might, so some of these are more general, bigger things, and some of them are obviously very specific, like with the airport and waterfront and whatever. So I'm wondering if just for clarity's sake, once this starts, if you've got a list of the more general ones, and then it's more like action items in some way, I don't know, that's probably not the right
Yeah,
phrase,
I
but.
can do that. I can, I can make some changes to this if you want, and then,
Cause I also thought the very last thing, work closely with the chamber and the Creative Alliance. Full disclosure, I'm on the Creative Alliance board, but I felt like that one should, particularly the chamber piece, should be much further up the list. I know you said this isn't in order necessarily, but I guess just in terms of how we're messaging and how you, the frame of mind that you want people to be in terms of priorities,
sure.
I think it is important.
And that's actually, in my opinion, that would be actually more of like a regular duty, so that would probably be in page 2, like the more generic
Right,
things.
That's not
that's
really
kind
a
of what I was
goal.
thinking.
That's not really a goal. That's a,
It's a task, yeah.
it's a directive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a,
I'll move that.
So were you saying maximum 7 or minimum, or
I-
just 7
I-
period?
I think, thinking about it while we were sitting here, I think we should just see how many applications we get and decide. Because if you only get 5, that, but I tend to agree with you, I think this is gonna be one of the more popular committees, and if we get some really talented people that wanna do this, and it ends up being 9, then fine.
Let's make it minimum 5. And we can work from there.
Which one of you wants to be the board liaison? I kind of figured that.
the businessman.
Well, I was chairman of the planning commission for a long time. I make a motion that we go along with this, and it's an ad hoc committee, and that Aaron's be the chair, and it'd be a minimum of 5 people.
Second.
Any further discussion, questions? So I would just say, Aaron, I'll say yes to this, but I think just sort of reorganizing
Sure.
priorities and whatever before it goes out would be good.
I can have it for the next meeting for you guys, for signature.
All right, any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Good luck.
Moving on to 10B, annual license for sale of consumer fireworks, Big Al's Outlet Inc., doing business as Big Al's Fireworks Outlets.
As I have in past years, I've included in your board packet, the advice of the town's attorney and the advice of Big Al's attorney on approval of this license.
And we did receive the information from the Bryants as well.
Which is also in your packet.
So does this page
And-
1215 replace the page?
Yes.
This does to only have 300 Bath Road as the address. Yes. You can come speak. I will note that from the town's attorney point of view, nothing has changed, so I'm happy to hear what you have to say. But you should just know that. If you don't mind coming just up to the table so that Owl can hear and see you. That's great, thank you, yeah.
Well, I'm Katie Bryant. JD's Way. Just have a short statement. Big Al's is illegally storing fireworks on JD's Way, which makes the company ineligible for town license. As we explained in our letter dated 11/28/23 and emailed to the select board on 11/30/23. We request that Big Al's license application be denied until there is no longer illegal activity at JD's Way, or at least that the issue be tabled until the law court's ruling on the December 7, 2022 arguments is announced. And finally, because I've only taken a minute of your time, I'd like to request an opportunity to speak again or respond with clarifications if necessary after any further discussion. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
I have a copy of this for Jackie.
Thank you.
Well, it's kind.
Any questions or comments from the board? Open for a motion.
I move to approve the annual license for sale of consumer fireworks, Big Al's Outlet, Inc., doing business as Big Al's Fireworks Outlet.
Second,
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions?
Could I ask what the advice from the attorney is? Can that be read?
It's the same as last year.
Do you not get the select board packets? I thought you were on the email
Yeah.
address.
I didn't see that in it.
It's the one from Bernstein Sure, Mary Costigan.
It's in the back.
Yeah.
Was it mid-fire, or was it?
Here, wait, summarize this.
Would you like copies?
Well, I don't want to trouble you.
Do you mind?
Halfway through.
No,
Yeah,
they
here,
can- or
why don't
you can have this, because we have it online as well. So here, let me open to it.
Is it in?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she can have my copy if she wants it.
This is all of the stuff for this item.
Exactly.
I thought it was, yeah, oh, here it
No,
is.
it's okay, I have it electronically, so.
All right, okay.
Yeah, it's online.
And I'm correct in saying that the attorney confirmed that that is still the
Yes.
case.
Yes.
So you'll see the date on that is from last year, but we have checked with them again, and it's the same.
And actually, the opinion from Al's attorney that's in here, is, more recent.
Is that legal law?
What?
Is that legal law?
That's the next one, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, motion on the floor. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Old Ferry Road contract.
I did get some information today, from Jason at Wright, Jason Delant at Wright Pierce. As I explained in previous meeting, we had talked with some of the contractors who took out bid packages for the replacement of this culvert, but didn't return bids. And there was a variety of reasons why they didn't return bids. A couple of them was just the time of the year. It's, summer construction is busy, they're booked. There's a lot of construction going on. There's obviously after today, gonna be a whole lot more going on. And so we got down to two different companies. One was Crooker and one was T-Buck Construction out of Turner. This project is a little bit complicated in that, especially in the wintertime, we're going to have to do winter work. There is a water and a sewer main that have to run through there. They're gonna have to be temporarily relocated, kept from freezing, as well as a temporary bypass that has to be put in, because we can't just close the road and get this done. Maine Yankee needs access 24 hours, and we need to be able to get emergency crews out there constantly. So it becomes a somewhat complicated project. Crooker decided it was a little too much for what they wanted to take on, particularly the building the temporary bypass. So it brought me down to just one company, which is this T-Buck Construction in Turner. Jason they've done work with them before. and he's happy with his work. They sent me an initial proposal, priced at $1,991,208. I felt that was a bit steep, even though a year ago, we got a similar bid at 1.9 million. It's pretty razor thin for the amount of money that we managed to come up with for this, and I would remind everybody that we got $1.3 million in congressionally directed spending through FEMA. I got $500,000 from the Department of Marine Resources and $125,000 from the DEP. And the town has allocated and approved $525,000, but of course, we've done engineering and a lot of work like that, so. It was a little thin, so I went back to Jason and I said, I think we need to shave this back a little bit, and today they sent me an updated proposal at $1,861,219, which makes me feel a little bit better because it's not quite so close to the dollar amount that we have. We still have some hoops that we have to jump through. I need to get approval from, we had a long conversation with Heather up at Maine Emergency Management about whether or not we needed to go back out to bid on this because of the change from the winter to the summer. And we determined that because it was in the bid addendum, that could be a possibility if anybody wanted to bid on it, and with the change of season, that could happen. So she's agreed that we do not need to go back out to bid on that. I want to get that in writing, which I haven't gotten yet. And we need to then get approval from the Army Corps of Engineers to change the permit from summer to winter, which we're pretty confident they will do. They had indicated before that a winter work was fine. And we've asked them to do that on an expedited basis so we can get this done. So what I'm gonna ask you guys for tonight is not to approve the contract, but to authorize me to issue a notice of intent to award to T-Buck for the $1,861,219, contingent upon approval from Maine Emergency Management Agency and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And we will have to have a conversation with the water district as well over doing this in the winter, just make sure they're comfortable with it, so.
What was the amount again? 1,861,219?
1,861,219, yeah.
So do you need all of that in your motion?
Yes.
Okay. Let's try it. Why not? I move to authorize the town manager to award a notice of intent to award the Berry Road work to T-Buck. Is that the whole name of it?
T-Buck Construction.
T-Buck Construction in the amount of $1,861,219.
Second. I had the easy one.
Wait, didn't you need contingent on the approval of?
Oh, contingent on the approval of the Army Corps of Engineers
And Maine Emergency.
and Maine Emergency.
Second.
Thank you.
I got a question.
Yes.
Have we got approval on it already from the Army? Corps?
Yes,
Okay.
so all the permits and everything are already in place
Yeah,
for the summer work. We just need to amend that for the winter work.
okay, yeah, that's more reasonable. I thought we're still waiting on that.
No, everything is good except for just finding somebody to actually do the work.
Okay.
And like I said, after today, it's probably gonna get even tougher.
Yeah, it should be re-reviewed and kicked back, so that would be my fear.
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, you know this better than I do.
Fingers crossed.
Just T-Buck, what is it?
T period Buck.
Okay. Thank you.
There's antlers on their logo.
Okay.
Yes, I would like those.
I'll send this to you.
All right, any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passes 5-0.
I want to thank the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Merry Christmas.
Next was North Point Fill area cleanup contract, but Dennis does not have
Yeah, I don't have
Take
anything
that
that didn't come in, so we can skip over that.
Okay,
86.
next is the March 5th, 2024 town meeting warrant.
So the ORC, along with Emily, has worked throughout the fall, summer and fall, to get these ordinances, in line with LD 2003. We planned this as a March town meeting because, we have to have a state primary, referendum that same day anyways. And we wanted to get these voted on early in the year, in case for some reason they get voted down, and they have in other towns, that we still have time to go back to the drawing board, and rework these in time for, another vote. The state, these were supposed to be done by July of last year. A lot of towns went to the state and said, we just don't have time to get this done, so they granted us a year-long extension. If we wait till June and they fail, we're not gonna make the deadline. It just isn't gonna be possible. So that's why we put them on, the March meeting. Seeing how we were having a March meeting already, we did include the solar, conversion ordinance. That has come up as an issue already, with somebody wanting to install a small system on, Route 1. And we basically had to tell them, no, the way the ordinance was written, we didn't think that was allowed. So that's why I'm asking for that one to be on there. The licenses and regulations have to do with LD 2003. That is because, you guys decided that you wanted short-term rentals to have a business license. The attorney has provided the language for changing, the ordinances down to one question so that we're not voting on all of them, and that's why that's worded. I did ask that we put the retirement change for EMS on this ballot. That's a recruitment problem for us in EMS. A lot of municipalities offer the 2C plan. It's the same plan that our police department is on. And that will help us, stay fully staffed. And then the last article for the Scout Hall was put on at the request of Selectman Maloney.
I'd like to withdraw that. After discussion with the chair, I'd like to have that put on the June ballot.
Okay.
I just felt like it's something that can wait a few more months, and it would be better to have a bigger turnout.
Yeah.
Is that an issue administratively now that that's?
No, it'll just take me a minute to go and reprint a new warrant for you to sign. And I'd say I'm kind of happy about that because we have run into some issues. I can't find a deed.
Well, when I was doing that, I thought it was going on the June one in the first place.
Okay.
What exactly is it?
The, authorizing or not to sell Scout Hall,
Oh, okay, thank you.
so just moving that to June instead.
All right, so if you guys are okay with the rest, Emily has joined us tonight, in case you guys have any questions about the LD 2003 stuff. It hasn't changed substantially from what it was. Originally, it did have some minor edits from the town's attorney, just changing some minor language in it. But otherwise, it should be pretty much the same as what you guys had seen previously.
Open for a motion.
Motion to approve the town warrant as submitted with Article 6 removed.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion
So-
passes 5-0.
Don't go screaming out the door, I think, as soon as the meeting's over. You got a lot to sign, and I'll have to take a few minutes to change this.
Still questions?
We do not have assessor's business, town manager's report.
Just a couple of things. I'm sorry I emailed it late. If anybody in the audience or Susan from the paper wants a copy, I'll be happy to send it to you. The only thing I have to add from it is we got 4 more generators on our wastewater treatment pumping stations hooked up last week. Finalized some of them yesterday. And they worked, except for one, they all worked just exactly as they were intended to work. And the only reason the one didn't work was because Cummins had come and done some work on it, and they rewired the cutoff switch backwards. So Machinery Services came and swapped it back. It took them a whole 5 minutes. And they worked beautifully. Rob and the wastewater guys are just tickled to think that they're not gonna have to go out in a storm like yesterday and cart generators around.
They did,
To keep, well, they had to, so,
came to my neighborhood, and
Yeah.
kept it temporary one out.
but far less than what they normally used to have to do. And we have taken, so one of the transfer switches is going to be repurposed. We're taking it up to the school bus garage and hooking it into the bus garage so that we have access to fuel if we have a multi-day outage, gas, diesel for our emergency vehicles. And we can take one of the generators that we currently have up there, hook it into that. So the only cost in that's gonna be just the labor to get it hooked up, and we'll have a generator, so we reuse some of that stuff.
Dennis gonna talk about our trip to Oxford.
Yeah, I can put that in my manager's report a little bit for you guys, but last Tuesday, Rob, Wally, Bill and myself went up to Oxford to look at their new wastewater treatment facility. It's what, 7 years online now, I think they said. It's kind of it's a one of a kind in the state of Maine right now, and then it's a membrane system. So all of the wastewater is passed through several hundred filters, membranes, to filter out all of the solids on the as it passes through. The whole system is in one big building. It's not like ours down here that has a control building and a bunch of exterior tanks. Everything is enclosed within the building. And the building can be architecturally made to fit pretty much whatever neighborhood we decide we want to put it into, because this was not a brick mortar type of building. It looked more like,
I have a picture of it on the screen.
it looked more like
right
a big
downtown.
barn than anything. This system, they have the filter system, they do have an odor control system within the building to control odor, but they've never used it because there hasn't ever been any. In 7 years, they've had no problems with the odor coming out of this. So I think one of the reasons that we wanted to look at this is because some of the areas that Alber has identified that would be suitable for a treatment plant for the town is within the downtown, Federal Street downtown area. And we wanted to see if we could get something that would blend in so that it wasn't so intrusive looking. And it's possible. This building was possible.
It's right in downtown metropolitan.
It's right in the downtown of Oxford.
Kind of looks like a storefront.
And you ride by it, if it didn't say Oxford Sanitary District or whatever it said, you probably wouldn't even know that that's what it was.
There's a river behind it. The water goes into the river and the guys fish out there. It's so clean.
The water coming out is clean enough to drink.
Wow.
And it uses very little, if any, chemicals in its process. So,
Gravity, everything's gravity fed down. It goes way
Yeah.
down underground,
Yeah.
about 20 feet.
there was redundancy built in it, so if something breaks, something automatically takes over. It was quite a facility. They are currently constructing a similar facility in Wyndham. Costing them somewhere in the neighborhood, I think, of $40 million. Bill Alford did meet us up there and tour the facility with us. He is gonna look at it and see if it's a practical alternative for us here in town. We were all, I think, pretty impressed with what we saw up there. It was
Everything's
clean.
computerized. You can
Yep.
see what's happening every into pipelines and all.
Yeah, the guy can monitor the thing off his phone. If he's not there, or a small iPad. It's quite a facility, so. So, you know, we have some options, but, you know, people have to people know that it doesn't necessarily going to look like what we have down there now, being plunked into the middle of downtown. And they were very nice. The guy that runs the place is actually from Ukraine. Anything you want to add to that, Bill?
I was looking for the dimensions, I sent them to you. I still have.
So,
there it is.
one of the areas-
The whole building is 123 feet by 72 feet. But the one problem I see around here is a lot of it has to go way down deep, and you gotta find a place where there's no ledge.
No ledge, right?
It's Lincoln County.
Let's can be gotten rid of, but it just adds to the cost.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly better if we can find a place without it. What do I got here?
It's just me sending
Oh,
this
okay.
stuff.
Got it. Yeah, so that's what I have for you.
And I was also supposed to, if I'm listening carefully enough, that could handle everything that we've got right now, right? Even though
Yes.
they have very few customers.
Yes.
It was put in mainly because of the Oxford Casino and a hotel. Which they probably threw in a lot of money for.
Yes, they don't have anywhere near the users that we have. The facility is tax supported and not supported strictly by user fees. They do have the casino and they have plenty of capacity to add to it. So I was impressed. That's it.
Would we need to work on any of the 19 lift stations we've got?
Yes, the entire system needs a whole lot of work. Oliver is currently doing the engineering on 2 pump stations. Don't ask me which ones, I don't remember. One is the one down by the senior center, because that does have to be upgraded. And it needed to be upgraded anyways, regardless of what happened to that building down there. And the other one is the one down by Wiscasset Ford, because that one's a problem. We get heavy rains like this, it just can't keep up with the water flow that's coming through it, because we're getting infiltration of stormwater into our system that we should not be getting. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to this. If Congress would actually do their jobs and pass a budget, we'd have $5 million to start working on some of the stuff, because I did get $5 million in congressional spending from Senators King and Collins. But until Congress decides that they're gonna do something, it's sitting there in limbo, so.
The chances of these people working together.
They just need to get it done. And they, you know, the deadlines are coming up. January's drop dead on some stuff, and February's drop dead on some stuff, so. Hopefully we'll get some word on this. I almost think it was March last year that we learned that they finally passed the budget and had the money for Old Ferry Road, so. You know, that $5 million is just a drop in the bucket, but we can get a lot of these pump stations upgraded and at least get started on some of this work.
Thank you.
Anything else for town manager's report? Nope. Okay. Any other board business?
Yeah, I have a question, go ahead. I was just wondering if we can get an update from the Pleasant Street extension route,
Oh,
not necessarily from Dennis,
I did reach out to Leslie and express some of my concerns over where things have gone, and had told her that she needs to come before the board, and, but I will reach out to her again tomorrow, just to,
yeah, because we do.
yeah, because I know, I have questions, I know you guys have expressed, to have some questions, so I would do that.
Yeah, I mean, I was under the impression that this was going to be a planting, not an excavation
Yeah.
process.
I think we all were. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it was presented as.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I heard, and.
You know, I've attended the meetings and Dennis has too. It's just kept growing, you know, because there's people who represent, conservation groups who are keenly interested in helping towns, helping areas, finding money to do it. Help them reclaim wetlands especially. So I understand how it morphed into a bigger project, but I don't think we want it. I don't think we
No,
want
and
a
that's
bigger
not what we
project.
approved either.
Well, no, then she's definitely gonna have to come back and talk about it, but.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I'm gonna have to have, you know, we're gonna have to do something along 4th Street there because, you know, it is eroding and we're gonna have to do something if we're not, in order to keep from
yeah,
losing that street. Oddly enough, I was talking to Steve Christensen about this a couple of days ago, and if you ever wanna know anything that ever happened in this town,
yeah,
you just wanna talk to Steve, because that man is a walking encyclopedia of this castle. But I can also, he's got the information for me, and we are talking about 4th Street, and he shows up in my office with a file folder from the 1970s, where there was talk of trying to raise 4th Street back then. And the brouhaha that it caused in town, I don't know if you were living in town then or not.
Oh, yeah.
And what a nightmare that ended up being, for doing that, but we are gonna have to look at doing something, down there, brouhaha or not, you know, the road's gonna end up getting washed away at some point. I did go down at high tide yesterday just to look around the harbor, and, that was completely flooded down there, not the road, but like the approach to White's Island, Pleasant Street Extension was all underwater,
Pleasant
and that
Street.
wasn't even an astronomical high tide yesterday, that was not. But it did, the debris this morning, when I went down this morning, was up into the parking lot of the waterfront, quite a ways, so. You know, we've got some things we need to start figuring out how we're gonna pay for and work on.
Freezers to the Antarctic.
Budgets.
Freezers to the Antarctic.
yeah. At some point, you know, in the near future, if we could look at or discuss, electric vehicle charging stations for the town, we don't need 20 or 30, but, you know, we could, if we had one per parking lot, is where I'm starting in my thinking. I'd like to just look at it.
You might
Can we have-
wanna wait, the only ones that really work are Teslas. But the others are breaking down all over the place. And we're talking about making one that works for all of them, where you don't have to find special chargers.
Yeah, I just assumed,
Is that something that Aaron could have on his radar, particularly if there was a grant or something that would pay
Yeah.
for it?
And he and I had already discussed it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, because efficiency main comes up with grants for these things. But that round for the mid-coast area already happened, so I don't anticipate another round probably for another year, as they try to pick off other areas of the state that they're a little less prevalent. It's kind of like a broadband thing, you know?
Plenty of room up at the Irving station for them.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Or Shaw's.
You can't put them back here on this lot.
Well, it's gotta be somewhere near the infrastructure in order to really make it economically feasible anyways. So, yeah.
So, yes.
thanks.
Like, I think Target has them in their parking lot in
Yeah.
Thompson.
LL Bean has them. We have power, so I don't know why they're there.
Interesting, I don't see lights like that. Anyway.
All right, any other board business? Just note that I'm sorry I haven't gotten the select board bulletin out. I realized I was way behind, so I'm gonna get it out after this meeting. So I'll be sending that around for your approval, so.
Oh, Merry Christmas. Yeah. Gracious. Save it for New Year's, yeah.
All right,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I moved and seconded, all those in favor? We are done at 7:06 PM.
Did you get the